In the next few minutes, you're going to meet Madeline Cohen. You may be able to relate to Madeline's story of coming back to riding after a long break. And Madeline's story is also unique because soon after coming back to horses and riding, she started working with, training, and volunteering with rescue horses. In the following few minutes, she'll share parts of her journey working with these rescue horses, getting her own horse, Evelyn, who was also a rescue, and combining help with local trainers and with the lessons that she was taking with the online community and courses.
I adopted a rescue horse about 1.5 years ago, and she's super green, young horse. She'd only had, I think, like 3 months under saddle with one of the trainers at the rescue farm, so she didn't really know much. And she's like super, super smart horse. So she moves really quickly and she thinks a million miles an hour. And so having just really kind of practical exercises where I knew exactly how to set it up and what to do and how to ask her was really helpful starting out with her, because I kind of felt like I didn't know where to start out with a horse who knew so little about what was expected of her. I rode a lot when I was a kid, and I think like a lot of people that have kind of come to the HorseClass community, I had a long break and I was an adult re-rider, and I definitely felt like riding and just working with horses as an adult was a lot less intuitive than it was when I was a kid, and I felt like I needed a lot more like explanation and demonstration of just what I was supposed to be doing, how I was supposed to be approaching things, both like biomechanically and just kind of understanding why I was doing what I was doing. I was at a lesson barn for about 6 months before I kind of found the local horse rescues in Maryland and started working with them. But I continued to, ride at the lesson barns and take lessons, on lesson horses as well, while working with the rescue horses. But then I kind of quickly realized that I wasn't really progressing with, the riding I was doing at the lesson barn, and that I wasn't really getting any biomechanical instruction. I wasn't really learning how to like improve myself as a rider. And so that's really when I started kind of delving into your courses. And when I also decided that it was time to, move on to leasing a horse and working, more one-on-one with the trainer that would actually kind of instruct me and help me kind of become a better rider. With Evelyn, when I first got her, I was just worried about, settling her in and making her comfortable and getting her to know the property. And we had a few months of that. And then COVID hit and my barn closed for a few months and I couldn't ride her at all. And so I felt like when I got back to the barn, we were kind of starting at square one. And I just didn't really know where to start, because there was so many things seemed to confuse her, and she kind of over responded to so many cues. So I think the challenge for me was just feeling like very overwhelmed with how much she needed to learn and how much I needed to teach her, even to just have like a successful, walk, track, canter ride in the indoor arena. And I think 2 things that were really helpful for me. One was realizing like there's no rush. Like I don't need to be able to show her in a dressage show by next summer or anything else. Like she's my horse and I have her because I love horses and I love riding. And I knew going into rescuing that it was going to be a bit of a different process. So I think realizing like I didn't need to teach her all of those things at once. And it was okay to be like, okay, we're going to work on striding in a circle and not falling over for 2 weeks. And that's all, the only real training goal that we'll have. And I think breaking it down into smaller criteria was really helpful for both of us to not feel so overwhelmed. And then I think the other thing was just knowing what I don't know, how to get a brand new green horse to understand the basic concepts, I think was really helpful. And so it took me a couple months to get there, but I think realizing when you need help or when you need more resources is super important. The whole learning theory part of the course really kind of transformed the way that I think about horses and I think about riding. There's definitely a good balance in all the ones I've taken of like the theory and the practice, so you understand what you're doing and why you're doing before you start. But then there's actual clear, step-by-step guidance, which I think is something that's actually really hard to find. Even, just taking private lessons with trainers, a lot of them just don't break down what they're saying into actual, like, do this with your right hand, move your shoulders this way, point your hips this way, exhale here. So that's all been incredibly helpful for me. I think a lot of the community is rewriters, and there's just something very unique about sort of feeling like you used to know what you're doing and now you don't, or you used to just have feel and intuition and now you don't. And so realizing that other people feel that way too is really helpful. And then also having just very practical steps to actually get back to where you feel like you want to be, or to actually feel like you're making progress or just improving your confidence, I think it has been really helpful. And I think it's definitely, I would be in a very different place if I just kept taking lessons and I hadn't found the whole online community and started taking these courses.